Alright, I've had a lot of people asking me where my inFAMOUS content has went recently in my comments section, and after getting into a discussion with someone the other day, I realized that I never really gave you an explanation as to why I quit. So I figured today we would sit down and discuss that. I'll also be talking about what I plan to do in the future with this, because I know telling you why I quit isn't going to make you stop wanting me to do more. As I'm sure most of you know, a big part as to why I stopped doing this is because of the sheer amount of stupidity I was seeing in my comment section by other people. And this was just something that burnt me out. I got really tired of answering the same simple questions for the same dumb people who just couldn't educate themselves on the series or think about things logically, and I just really got fed up with that. But believe it or not, this isn't the main reason I decided to back away from doing inFAMOUS content. You see, I've been having this dilemma for actually quite a while now, where one part of me feels like I'm responsible for carrying the torch of inFAMOUS since it's been abandoned by pretty much everybody else at this point, and it was never treated with the respect it deserved by Sony. But the other part of me believes that there's not a whole lot I can really do anymore. I've been burnt out with the series. I've been doing it for so long, and after the previously mentioned comments thing that went down, I've just grown out of the series, I believe. Also, because there's no news about it and we're not getting a sequel as far as I can tell, speculating and predicting things and theorizing really has no purpose, because it's just going to create this cycle where I create a theory, you guys make a counter theory or agree with that theory or disagree with that theory, and then it never gets answered because there's no one to answer it. There's no authority figure. There's no developer to say, this is the concrete, no pun intended, way that things happen. So that just seems kind of like a pointless endeavor to me. With that being said, I still love the series to death. It's one of my favorites of all time to this day. I just feel like here on the channel, I want to do other things. I want to explore other games because there's more that I love than just inFAMOUS. And I should have just told you guys this a while ago, a long time ago actually. I should not have just tried to quietly leave inFAMOUS behind and transition into other content, because that left you guys wondering what was going on, if I was ever going to return to inFAMOUS or not, what my plan was, what I was doing. Even when TV shows or movies get canceled, the production company usually lets you know, and I never let you guys know. So for that, I have to apologize. I'm sorry for the way I've handled this. I should have just made this video a long time ago, but here we are today, and as my high school English teacher used to say, better late than never. So I've taken some time to think about this and where I want to go, and the only way I can see this going forward is if I make my own canon. I decide where the story goes, how the characters evolve, what events take place and how they happen, basically like a fan series spin-off of the original universe, except I would be continuing it since Sucker Punch has no desire to. But I wouldn't want to just sit here and talk about it with gameplay from the old titles. I would want to physically show you, have you immersed in an experience where you could witness this new universe and these new characters for yourself, instead of having to imagine it through my own commentary. And there's 3 ways that I could do this. The first one, being the one I'm most familiar with, is a live action production. As I'm sure you can imagine, that would be really awesome, but there's also a lot to consider when going into this. Just to give you a rough idea, I would have to find actors that both looked and sounded like the characters from the game, which is no easy task, considering that the people who voice the characters don't really look like them, since the characters are all designed digitally in a modeling program. And yes, I'm aware most developers do use facial capture to get the animations and the look for characters' faces now, but taking an actor's facial movements and mapping it onto an animated figure is different from having to use their real body in live action. I also wouldn't be able to hire the people who acted for the characters in the game, because these are big-time actors who have real jobs and real lives and probably don't want to help a random kid from Iowa who wants to make a fan film based off his favorite game. I would also have to build a set, create my own props, make my own costumes, because these aren't the kind of things you can just find on store shelves. Everything would have to be custom tailored and made and designed specifically to fit the theme of everything in the inFAMOUS universe, and that is a lot of work. On top of all of it, all the people I would have to hire, all the equipment I would need, that all requires money, none of which I have. So that leads me to option 2, being an animated series. Now, animation is both easier and more difficult than video in different ways. It's easier in the fact that I don't have to worry about appearances for my actors. I can just hire people based off of their voices and their performances. On the flip side of that, it's more difficult because I can't just go to a location or build a set. I have to create everything manually from scratch in a computer software. every building, every window on that building, the sky, the clouds, the sun, the moon, the costumes, the characters, the faces, every last tiny little detail has to be handmade. And you can't even do it with your real hands. You have to do it with a mouse and keyboard in the computer system, which is prone to glitches, and that creates a whole other problem in and of itself. Oh, and I also have no idea how to animate, so I'd have to hire people with really powerful computers built for animation who also know how to animate. Option 3 then? A comic series would be the cheapest and easiest way to go about doing this. inFAMOUS has done comics before, after all. The only thing is, and it seems like there's a catch with all 3 of these options, unfortunately, I am not very good at drawing. I used to be decent when I was 13 or 14. Here's some examples for you if you're curious. But I'm in my 20s now, guys, and I haven't drawn for a really, really long time. As a matter of fact, I tried to do it a few days ago, and yeah, you do not want to see me try to make a comic. So here's where you guys come in. I know there's a lot of people who kind of stop and go on this channel. They come by, they leave, they don't really come back. But there's a considerable amount of you who I would call consistent viewers and even fans of this channel and what I've been doing here. So if any of you know someone who has these particular skill sets and would be willing to help out with this project, or maybe if you yourself are someone who has one of these particular skill sets and you want to help out with this project, and you want to see inFAMOUS go somewhere other than whatever the hell Sony and Sucker Punch have planned for it, if anything, just let me know. Don't be afraid to leave a comment or direct message me here on YouTube or on Twitter. That's the other place where I'm going to be most active. And for those of you who still really enjoy the old style of video I was doing with the gameplay and the commentary, feel free to let me know if that's something you'd still want to see, but just like I said earlier in the video, there's not a whole lot I could do with that. Especially now that Sucker Punch has deleted the Paper Trail website, which contained a ton of story and lore information regarding Second Son. Let me just go on a little side rant here for one moment. You make a half-baked game with a ridiculously short story. Then you release the other half of that story through DLC that can be viewed on a website. Then you delete the website which contains half of the story for your game. Sucker Punch, you mean to tell me you could not have taken the information on that website and given it to us before deleting it? What really sucks about this is that, in my opinion, Paper Trail featured the better half of the story than the actual game did, and now we can't even access any of it. inFAMOUS needs to be in better hands, and that's exactly why I made this video. Even though live action would be expensive, I don't know how to animate, and my drawing skills are rusty, I could still write or direct for the project, which, since I'm the one who's basically starting it, I think would be a better place for me anyway. So again, if you know anyone, or if you yourself would like to help make this project a reality, send me a message, leave me a comment, just get a hold of me, let your friends know. If you care about inFAMOUS and you want to see it have a future, not only on this channel, but as a series in general, even if it is fan-made, I truly believe this is the best way to achieve that. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope to hear from you in the comments and in my messages. If you want to see more content like this or help support the channel, just hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell next to it so you get notified when my videos go live. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's where I post every single video that I make, so you definitely won't miss it if you go there. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.